Hey Book Dragons, I'm back for another video, and this one is my goals and my channel plans for this year. So I do this video every single year and I really like it. I like looking back on it. Some people really don't like making goals because it stresses them out. For me, especially in my reading life, I thrive on goals. Like I make lists. That's just how I read. So sometimes it seems a little bit overwhelming to people, but for me it works and I like it. So I'm not saying you have to do it this way, but this is just how I do it. I plan a lot. I have a lot of plans that I set up and I organize. So I'm going to break this video into 3 different parts. First is just my channel thoughts and ideas, and I always set myself a number goal. Some people don't like to, but I do. So I'm going to tell you guys the platforms I'm on. It's always linked in the description box, and what I'm planning to do this year. And then we're going to get to the real goals, which is going to sort of frame out my reading. I think 2022, the second half of 22 was probably my worst reading year. In September, we went back to school normally, and I think that was just rough for me. It was a lot of focus, a lot of things had to change. And I think that was just because I was doing the same curriculum virtually for 3 years, and it just was very different, and that took a lot out of me. So the last 3 months, I think I really struggled. It's not been since I've been home and I've been really relaxing and kind of putting everything into pieces that I realized, oh, I do like to read again. So that has been nice. I think my content suffered a little bit, so I'm trying to plan, and I know that coming into this year there's going to be a lot of changes because I am doing a show again. So yeah, that's where we are right now. But I am in a better spot, and I just need to work on work-life balance a little bit, and we'll get to that when we talk to Justin's questions later. And some of these questions did come from Justin Reads Romance, and I will try to link her channel below and her video. So yeah, let's start with stats. So I do stats every single year just so I see if I'm gaining any growth. And at this particular moment, at this time, for my bookish persona, which is Laura's Bookish Life, I did rebrand this year thanks to my social media manager. Thanks, Chloe. So I did change that, and I am present on my blog, my Instagram, my TikTok, and my YouTube channel. Obviously, hi, you're watching me. So my biggest platform right now is Instagram, which I did not expect. So my blog goal has always been to get to 350 followers. It's slow. It's a slow process. But I am trying to get there. So that is the goal for that. By the end of the year, I will have 350. Right now I have 322. So if you want to give me a follow and help me make it there, that would be great. Instagram, I just hit 1K, which was a lifelong dream for me. A lot of my platforms was just to get to 1K, any of them really. So when I realized that I was going to get there on Instagram, I was so thrilled about that. So that was super exciting. So my goal now is to get to 1,500, which I think is doable. We'll see. TikTok, I just started. I don't have that much of a TikTok presence, and I'm trying to get it. So right now I have about 200. I want to get to 300 on that. So I want to get another 100 followers, which I think is doable. And YouTube, my pride, my joy, the bane of my existence. I want to get to 500 followers on here, and I'm always in the 420s or 440s, so it's going to be a process. But if you happen to find this randomly, I read mostly YA and middle grade. I have been reading a lot more adult, but I'm predominantly a YA fantasy reader. So if you want YA fantasy recs, please follow me, and I do a lot of reading blogs as well, so I'm really excited for that. So yeah, that is my stats goal. And now let's get into Justin's questions, where we will get a little bit more specific. So Justin's question is, what are some things you were excited about in 2023? And I'm just going to not focus on book related things right now because I think that there's other things that I'm really excited for. The one thing I'm so excited for is I'm gonna be able to put up a show with my students again, which I haven't done since 2019 because of the pandemic and such. So that's really exciting to me. It's a lot of work, and I'm hopeful that it will go well. We're doing Alice in Wonderland, which is one of my favorite shows of all time, so hopefully the students will like it. We're gonna have auditions in early January. It's gonna go up in late May, early June. It will be a big time commitment, but I'm super excited for that. I'm also hopefully gonna finally go back abroad. I'm gonna go to Italy this summer. That is the plan. That has been my plan since 2019, and then with the pandemic and everything happening, it just didn't work. But that is my dream, to do that. And then I hope that by the second half of the year, me and my students can actually act in some of my classes. It's been a bit since we did that because of everything happening. just with all the restrictions and stuff like that. And also I want to keep everyone safe, so we haven't really been acting, and it's, you know, I want to see them act because I think that will like put a smile on their face and make me show what I'm teaching them. But yeah, so those are my personal girls, like, you know, what I'm looking forward to. I'm also looking forward to obviously all the books coming out. And we'll talk about those in anticipated reads because I've been waiting quite a bit for some of them. But yeah, so do you have a Goodreads challenge goal? So we're going to talk a little about Goodreads. I am going to attempt to start using Storygraph as well. But I do have a Goodreads goal. I always set my Goodreads goal to $100. That is, and I can easily meet that. I've met that for the past like 5 years. However, my secret goal is to always read 200, and that's been my secret goal since I started on Goodreads, which I think I started in like 2013. So I always put 200 books as my secret goal. I never hit 200 books until like October, so that is like my secret goal. And actually, I read a lot less this year than I did the past year. Like I was at like almost 250. This year I'm only about 220, so I did have, you know, we'll talk about that and like how I think my reading went. I don't think it went as great as last year. But definitely to hit 200 bucks, but just to read 100 bucks would be great. And then we'll see where the rest of it goes. I'm going to give myself a little bit of grace because I know that like in May, I may not read a lot because the show's going up, but I hope that my work-life balance will be able to assist me with that. So yeah, 100 bucks, and that's because I think it's doable, and I don't like being behind on any Goodreads platform. Like that makes me really, really nervous. But 100 is a good start, and then when I get 100, I always read it by 20. So I'm never really behind, and that's why you'll see me in the first month like read a lot of short things just to sort of get it up because I hate being behind. I know it's just for me and not for anyone else, but I don't like that. So 100, really 200, but yeah, that's my Goodreads goal, and that's why I make it, because I think it's very, very doable considering I read some chunky things. But I also do want to implement some stuff that I'm going to hopefully read more like in that vein and just do some things, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So the next question was super easy, and it was 3 5-star read predictions that you're going to read in 2023. I have a whole list about this, and I'm actually probably going to do like a 2023 5-star read prediction eventually, but I'm not done with my other one that I'm in the middle of. But a couple of books that I think I'm definitely going to give 5 stars to is I Love the Gods by Amy Kaufman. It comes out in May. One of my most highly anticipated release. It's been so long since Amy Kaufman has written something, and this is also her solo YA fantasy debut, which I'm really excited about. Also Silver in the Bone by Alexandra Bracken, another author that I have loved for so long, have loved all of her books, and this is a new kind of story for her, so I'm really excited. And I'm just thinking of books that are coming out that I know that are coming out. Probably Spellbound by F.T. Lukens, which I also have an arc of. Those are the books that like I think will probably be 5 stars just because the authors have made such an impression on me. And yeah, so those are the books that I think are going to be 5-star read predictions. I have to film a video, but I haven't done all the other ones, so that's a sneak peek of that video that I think will be 5-star reads. So, oh, and Royal Blood by Amy Carter, I think, is another one that I think I'm gonna love. So those are 4. I can never follow questions correctly, but those are 4. So the next question is, what like subtrope do you want to read more of? And I'm mostly a fantasy reader. I've gotten a little bit out of that recently, but I do want to get back to it. So the fantasy trope that I always tend to love is like quests. I love a good quest. I love when characters are sort of forced to work together. That is like one of my favorite tropes that I haven't read a lot of. I also do just love witches in stories, and it's been a bit since I read a good witch book. Nightbirds was not witchy, it was more magic-y, so I'm always on the hunt for a good witchcraft story. But I'm always hunting for quests. What I think is going to be big in 2023 is I think magic stories are going to be very, very big for some reason. And then another trope that I want to read more of is, I don't know if this is like a thing, but my personal favorite is always second chance romance. So I want to read more second chance romances, both in fantasy and other aspects of my life. But I also read a lot of books in this trope that like I sort of made the connection with. I don't know if it has official name, but I would say second chance romance with a hint of enemies to more. This is basically like the characters had a relationship, had a connection, something happened that sort of broke them apart, and then they have to sort of work their way back. So there's a little bit of animosity there. that is sort of building their relationship, but at the end of the day, they were friends first. So I love Friends to more. I want to read more Friends to more books. I want to see it in a bunch of different types of genres. I always hunt for it in fantasy because that's like my secret favorite. But yeah, so I want to read more second chance romance in a bunch of different aspects, and I also want to read more quests. But yeah, and then the next question I sort of answered, but I'll answer it again. What do you think is going to be the most popular in 2022? I think cozy mysteries are going to explode this year for some reason, and I also think cozy fantasy is going to explode this reason. I think that's largely thanks to like legends and lattes, and I think that's due to like, you know, a lot of other things, but I think cozy mysteries and cozy fantasies are going to explode, and I'm here for it. I'm really excited to see what that looks like. I'm going to talk about my bookish goals at the end because I have a lot of bookish goals and I think it's going to get a little bit confusing. But Jason's next question, what is your like 3 personal goals? One is to really focus this year on what I'm putting into my body and devoting time to working out. And I think that's going to be something that I really focus on this year. I have a little Inkling design planner and I kind of failed at using it. I also got a new iWatch. So I'm going to really focus on that. And I am a really bad snacker. I think it's because I commute a lot and like I commute for my job and I'm always like, I have like a crash at like 2:30 because I come home and I'm really, really tired because I work at 5. So at 2 I'm normally exhausted. So I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to try to work out every single day. I'm going to try to do all that other stuff, maybe go back to the gym. But that is going to be a focus that I put myself into for this year, is to get better at that and make that more of a habit. I'll say that. And then the next one is I want to have a better entertainment life balance. This is going to sound so stupid. I follow a lot of YouTubers. I just do. Like I follow a lot of booktubers, and systematically this year I started getting rid of all of the not even YouTubers, but like YouTubers I didn't really care about. Like things that like the content driven that I just don't care. And that's not book content. Like I love all my book content, but I want to be able to focus on my book content and actually have time, because what would happen was I'd be 7 months behind in videos and I would just never feel like I caught up. I feel like I could never have conversations. I feel like I could never reach out for collabs. I'm still painfully shy. So if you ever want to collab with me, please message me, because I'm just so shy to do that myself. I do it so infrequently and I'm just really, really bad at reaching out to people. It's scary to me because I'm always afraid people are going to say no. But I'm always interested in that. It's been my dream to host a readathon, but I just don't think I'm that creative. So because I've been so behind on videos, I felt like I haven't been in like the moment. I was watching videos that came out in like September, in like January. So I really want to make a better life balance. Because of that, I've been so behind on entertainment stuff. So I just want to have a better like entertainment balance. And a lot of that was getting rid of podcasts I didn't listen to. A lot of that was getting rid of YouTubers I don't want to follow anymore. So it was very, very systematic and it just was a lot. But I also think right now that because I'm not rewatching stuff, I'll have more time for listening, and it was just like a very, very slow thing. I used to be obsessed with true crime. Now I'm really not. I mean, I still like true crime, but I'm going to try to get it in book form and not re-listen to stuff. So entertainment life balance is my priority right now, just to have more time to watch YouTube stuff, the YouTube stuff I care about, and then also, you know, make time for movies and TV shows when I'm home. And I'm doing a challenge in the first couple of months. Can I trust the YouTubers I watch recommendations? I watch a ridiculous amount of YouTubers, especially romance booktubers, and I love them all. But I want to see what recommendations do I actually take, and are they beneficial? So that is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to, any YouTuber I follow is probably going to get a reading vlog based on them. You don't have to watch them, but that's probably going to happen in 2023. So prepare yourself, because I think it will be fun. And it will just show, like, if I'm running out of time, what videos may, the recommendations may not be for me. And that's okay, because I don't read a lot of romance, but I do watch a lot of romance booktubers. They're just very, very nice. So yeah, so that's my entertainment goal. And that's like, you know, my working out goal. I really do love working out. It's just time commitment. And I want to do more self-care and journaling. I want to find time every day for self-care and for putting myself first and journaling and kind of processing through all that. Especially because I know I'm heading into a busy year. I want to make time for that. So those are the questions that Justin wrote. Oh, and then the last question Justin has, what do you want to leave behind? I want to leave behind my reading slump. I would love to leave that behind. And because it just would not end. It was annoying. So I want to leave that behind, and I also want to leave behind my shyness about reaching out for collabs, because it's a problem. And now let's get into my long and exceedingly endless channel goals and bookish goals. They're a lot, I'm gonna warn you. Looking down at my computer, and I separated this into goals for 2023, month series goals, and monthly reading plans. So I have a lot of goals. I always do. Sometimes they're a little bit overwhelming, but the one thing I really do want to do this year is I want to make quality content. I always afraid I'm stealing someone's ideas when I do a video that someone else has done. So I'm just going to kind of get over that. And if I found an idea from someone, I'm going to mention them in the video and call it done. Because I always get nervous doing that. But I'm just going to get over that. And I want to have at least 2 videos a week for you all. Possibly 3, and 1 reading vlog. And I love doing my themed reading vlogs. So I'm going to kind of make that a focus. I want to continue reading my 3 genres each month, which I think I've been doing. And I want to try to challenge myself. I want to try to read 5 e-arcs every month, which would, at the end of the year, bring me to 60 e-arcs, because my NetGalley score is awful. Just bad. And it's because during the pandemic, we weren't getting sent arcs, so I got sent a lot of like virtual arcs, and it made my NetGalley score horrible. So that I want to do, and I also want to be mindful of what I'm requesting, and kind of curl back a bit. I want to complete my various end of the year lists. I recently redid my bookshelves, so they're all, I can see what's on my TBR a lot easier, which I really, really like. I failed at reading nonfiction last year, so I'm going to give myself read 10 books, hopefully read 1 a month, and I think I'm just going to open up myself up. I can read memoirs. There's a lot of memoirs I'm super excited for. And in 2020, I was really in my educating me phase, and I think I'm just not there right now, but I still do want to get other content. The thing is, I love listening to podcasts, and I find like I listen to a lot of podcasts, and I re-listen to them over and over and over again, so I want to find some books that have that quality. I want to keep up to date on my various reading challenges, including the Avengers reading challenge, the Villains reading challenge, and also the Beat the Backlist challenge, and then the big books that Riley Marie is hosting. And just keep up to date on those. I love a good reading challenge. I made my own new game, which you guys will see in a later video. But yeah, and I also want to catch up on some of my author backlists where I have books that they're first books that I've never read. So I want to be able to make that a priority for 2023. And I want to make sure that I follow all the book clubs I'm paying for. Like, I'm paying for 4 book clubs, and I don't think I listened to a single book the entire year. So I really want to make that a priority because I'm paying for this extra content, and I want to be able to, so that I'm getting my money's worth. And I also want to use Cassidy's spreadsheet for my reading life. I think it was very, very organized super well, and it was a spreadsheet that I think I'll use. So I want to use that and sort of keep track monthly and give you guys some more stats when I do my wrap-ups, because my wrap-ups are a little bit awful when I film them. So I want to, hopefully Cassidy's spreadsheet will give me a little bit of structure. And if you haven't watched her video, I recommend. I'll try to link it below. And then when I was watching 4 Powers in a Book, she had like a word of the year. I don't like do that. But if I had to say a word of the year in my bookish life, it would be series. I want to get caught up on some series, and I want to wrap up some series. So that is going to be my goal. So I'm going to make myself, that's going to be my focus. I will talk about that in my monthly reading plans as well. But I want to make progress on 10 series, read several books in that series. I don't have to complete them, but I got to like at least be getting closer to the end. I want to complete 20 series, call them done. A lot of them have been on my TBR for so long. I just want them done. And I want to catch up on 15 series. And by catch up, it means I'm fully up to date by the end of 2023. That's a lot. And I think that that is why, because I'm a book reviewer, I get so many first books in a series. I get Owl Crate. I get all of these subscription services. A lot of them are first books. And when I go to conventions, love conventions to death, I tend to get a lot of first books. And then my sequels tend to just get forgotten. So I want to make a priority that I'm focusing on those and also having a nice balance. So I'm going to start that in January. You guys, we're going to take a journey together. And then I am starting a new reading game, which I hope you guys will like. And I am going to complete my TBR game, which I will talk about in another video, and follow through on my book buying consequences. And we'll talk about that in that video, but I'm going to have a specific way and how I can buy myself new books, because book buying has become a problem. And then my monthly reading plan, this is just how I'm going to structure it, and this I'll talk about in that video. But I'm going to try to read 5 e-arcs each month. I'm going to try to read 2 YA fantasy this month. This is a bump up from last year when I only read 1 and I felt like I didn't read enough. And I wanted to. That was the problem. I wanted to read more YA fantasy. I wanted to read 1 nonfiction book each month. And it could be a memoir, it could be something, but I want to replace my re-listening time with that and maybe listen to it during work. So that's a plan. I want to read 1 actual series each, 1 actual sequel each month, and I also want to make like a 5 series to focus on each season, which I think will help structure me a little bit. And I stole this from my friend Tiffany. She's not on YouTube or anywhere, but she's like, every single time you read 5 books of your physical TBR and you want to haul them, you can buy yourself 1. I like that. And then my monthly goals, sequencing into my buying books. So that is all my goals. I know it's a lot. Some people don't like how I do my goals, but I like goals. So let me know in the comments, what is your top reading goal, and I'll talk to you guys in 2023. Bye, friends.